We're in the money. Well, at least more money than Georgia's had in a while, and as a result, this year's budget is bigger, the largest in state history. But what does that really mean? We'll take a deep dive into the numbers with House and Senate budget chairs Terry England and Jack Hill. Lawmakers starts right now. Welcome to GPB's coverage of Day 15 of the 2016 session of the General Assembly. I'm Bill Nigut. As the lawmakers press on into the heart of the legislative session, things are starting to heat up a bit down at the Gold Dome. GPB's Shelby Lin is with us and has the latest from the Capitol. Shelby?
Thanks, Bill. We begin tonight with a measure that would make changes to the formula used in awarding the Hope Scholarship. The Georgia House passed HB 801, which would give students who take more challenging courses like math and science a slight edge.
Specifically, the legislation authorizes the Board of Regents to select bachelor-level science, technology, engineering, and math courses to receive extra weight for purposes of calculating the Hope Scholarship GPA while a student attends college.
Speaker Pro Tem Jan Jones brought her bill to the House floor today. She believes encouraging students to take tougher courses might direct them into fields where more jobs are available.
As an example, of the fields specifically in Georgia requiring a bachelor's degree or a postgraduate degree that have current and projected 10-year high workforce shortages, almost all are in healthcare, computer science, and engineering.
Jones says the bill also calls for an education task force that would continue to review this change in scoring to see how it's working and make adjustments if necessary.
What this section of the bill is designed to do is to provide additional GPA weight to encourage students to shoulder the additional academic risk of losing the Hope Scholarship that is inherent in demanding STEM courses.
The House approved the bill on a unanimous vote. We've been following this proposal since it first landed in committee and will continue to follow it as it goes to the Senate for consideration. Meanwhile, several House committees are reviewing the proposed 2017 budget. An Appropriations subcommittee held a public hearing on the health-related issues in the spending plan. Some of the testimony they heard today involved state Medicare waiver recipients who say they need an increase in the money they receive to hire home caregivers.
Of all the Medicaid waivers here in Georgia, the independent care waiver is by far the lowest paid waiver. This waiver helps me with things I cannot do for myself, toileting, bathing, dressing. I have a progressive disability, and so even in this past year, my disease has progressed.
I hire the person, they accept, however, numerous of time before the background check have come, they quit because they tell me, Mrs. Bell, I can't do this. It's not enough money.
Waiver recipients want to see an increase in the hourly wage for caregivers from $11 an hour to about $17, a nearly 30% hike. Health issues like this one are part of the reason the budget review process takes so long, because there are so many requests for help and the choices can be difficult for committee members. Georgia is entering the space race, that is the race to develop a spaceport that could bring in hundreds of millions of dollars in economic benefits, including high-tech industries and jobs. Hence, the Georgia Spaceflight Act, which was introduced this session by Woodbine Republican Jason Spencer and is now in the House Science and Technology Committee. If Representative Spencer has his way, Georgia's coastal residents will have a front row seat to rocket launches just like this one in New Mexico. Spencer is leading the effort to create a Georgia Space Coast based on building a spaceport in Camden County in southeastern Georgia. But first, the state needs to have some basic rules in place, and that's what the Georgia Spaceflight Act does.
This is a new and nascent industry, if you will. This industry, it requires a lot of capital to launch rockets, and frivolous lawsuits eventually would essentially shut down the industry in Georgia. And so what the industry is looking for is a climate that is hospitable, that helps nurture that industry, and so we can provide really good paying jobs for our area. That's one thing that the bill does.
The other thing the Spaceflight Act would do is provide a liability shield against spaceflight companies so that when people pay to take rides in space, for example, the industry is protected in case of accidents.
That's the kind of thing the industry looks at that will make us competitive with our neighbor, the state of Florida, who also has a waiver process. The state of Texas has a waiver process. Virginia, California, New Mexico, the space states have this already in their law.
And that industry, it's worth a lot of money. Globally, the space industry generates more than $300 billion. That's $1 billion a year. Spencer colleague and Brunswick Republican Jeff Jones wants Georgia to get in on the action.
The job growth, the technology growth, the spillover that it will have on getting kids in school who are more interested in some of the STEM subjects. I think there are many, many benefits. High-paying jobs, those average $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. Aerospace jobs do. So great economic benefit.
Jones says another big benefit of the Camden Spaceport, at least in its current proposal, is there's no state or taxpayer money involved. It's a private venture at this point, but there's still a long way to go before any decisions on possible spaceflight companies like SpaceX or Virgin Galactic are made.
There's no contracts yet been signed with any of those companies. We've got to get through the process of getting the structure in place and all the legalities dealt with before anybody is going to sign on to launch rockets there. So there's still several steps that have to be accomplished before we actually sign a contract with any launch providers.
Jones, who grew up in San Antonio, Texas, remembers following the Houston space shuttle launches as a boy. And Representative Spencer, his family is in the medical profession, and he even has an uncle who's a real rocket scientist.
It fuels a passion I've always had as a kid. I love Star Wars. I love Star Trek. I love those science fiction movies. So there's a lot of people out there like that as well. So that's why I have an interest in this bill.
So while there's no deal yet with any spaceflight companies, no contract signed, and assuming down the road the project gets the green light and manages to win the permits and licenses it will need to operate, Spencer says if all goes as planned during the approval process, best case scenario, Georgia could see a rocket launch from a coastal spaceport in just a few years, possibly as soon as 2018. Finally tonight, while the Camden Spaceport plan offers a glimpse into the possible future of space travel, folks at the Capitol got a glimpse into the future of terrestrial travel today. An all-electric passenger bus was on display for lawmakers at the Dome. This one is made by the company BYD. It has a range of 190 miles. It can travel up to 65 miles an hour and can carry up to 120 passengers. MARTA is also looking at buses like this for use on city bus routes. State officials are beginning to look at the transportation plan for the next 10 years, and electric buses like this may be part of it. That's it from the Capitol tonight, Bill. Back to you in the studio.
Shelby, I have no idea, of course, what might happen with that spaceport bill, but any excuse to show pictures of cool rocket ships is okay with me. Thanks so much.
I agree.
So let's turn to our topic of conversation tonight. It is the only mandatory thing the legislature is required to do each session: pass a budget. And that's a very short word for a document that is very long on detail. We're going to get our annual overview of the 2017 state budget tonight from the men who have helped shepherd it through the House and the Senate each year. Representative Terry England is the House Appropriations Chair, and Senator Jack Hill is the Senate Budget Chairman. Thank you both so much for being with us tonight. And I always look forward to this night every year when you come and talk about the budget. But before we do, I think viewers are going to notice what Senator Hill and I did when you walked in. That's a really beautiful jacket. There's a reason that you're wearing that jacket.
Well, just celebrating my 1987 win at the Masters. No. In all seriousness, it was Georgia 4-H Day at the Capitol today, and about 2 years ago they bestowed upon me the honor of the green jacket, and so we had the Agribusiness Council breakfast this morning celebrating their 50th anniversary. And so I was the MC there at it and decided, well, no better place to wear that there. And then, of course, we had the kids on the floor with us at the house today. Many of them serving as pages, and so I just felt...
Well, you have a working farm, and I know you've got to be proud of that. Congratulations on that honor a couple of years ago. Senator Hill, you're wearing a banker's suit tonight. blue pinstripe. So I think we really ought to start by talking about the budget first, if you don't mind with you. So we do have a budget bigger than the state has seen before, and it comes after some very lean years. Both of you have been in your roles for quite a while, you for more than a decade, you for the last 6 years, and you both came through very tough times in the mid, around 2007, 8, 9. Right. We're back on track, a little bit at least, right? And so you can afford a bigger budget.
Well, our state has been growing, and in fact, among the states in the Southeast, we've grown as well as any state in the Southeast and better than most. So some of the things that we've been trying to do and put more money back into education are coming to fruition this year. And state employees and teachers both are in line for a pay raise of 3%, which is overdue, but yet we've tried to conservatively follow our revenue stream as revenues have increased. Our budget has increased very moderately, and this budget in 2017 is based on 4.3% increase over last year. So.
Yeah, Chairman England, it's an interesting point that Senator Hill makes, and that's you're on one hand very glad you've got more revenue to be able to give to programs that you think need it. On the other hand, you always want to prove that you're a fiscally conservative body. So when people hear this is a record budget, what should they make of that?
Well, if you look back to 2008, at the beginning of the Great Recession, or when it started hitting Georgia anyway, if you looked at the budget we adopted as we left session in 2008, it was about $21.5 billion. Shortly thereafter, we were down to about 17 and a half, somewhere in that neighborhood. And so we made the hard decisions. We made the tough cuts. We're between 10 and 12,000 state employees fewer than what we had at that point in time. And when you look at long-term spending levels and you take into account the per capita spending levels, right now when adjusted for inflation, we're basically sitting at about a 1998 per capita spending level here in the state of Georgia. And I'm not sure exactly how many more people we have in the state of Georgia, but all of those things pile up, and you have to make those adjustments because you do have more people needing more services or requiring more services from the state of Georgia. And so, but to sit here and be able to say that we're still looking comparably at 1998 when adjusted for inflation on a per capita level, and then go back and look at 08 and look at the population of the state today in 2016 and realize when we've added over 800,000 new residents to the state at the same time, and then go back and layer over that how much the budget was that was adopted in 2008 versus the budgets we're looking at this year, it's not that great of an increase.
So Chairman Hill has already hit on a couple of the highlights that I wanted to talk with both of you about tonight, and one of them is new money for education. People very distressed over the last few years that there just wasn't enough money. You could not keep increasing the amount of money that Georgia schools really needed to try to perform at higher levels. You've now added money to education.
Well, and we're looking at the 17 budget. The governor's proposed $300 million going in to reduce the austerity reduction even more. You look back over the last year and a half, basically look at last three budgets, the amended 15, 16, and now the amended 16, and looking into 17, we're looking at well over $1 billion in the new dollars, the new revenue coming in that's going into
let's, if we could, Senator, just to make sure our viewers stay with us on this. So there are really two budget processes that take place around this time of year. One of them is what we used to call the supplemental, the little budget, and that's going back and adjusting what you passed in the last fiscal year. You added more than $1 billion to the current fiscal year budget, even while you started looking at next year's. And that money is split pretty much between the roads and bridges project that the legislature approved last year and adding some of the education funds that Representative England's talking about.
About 3/4 of those funds are highway funds that are coming directly from the excise tax and from the other fees associated with the transportation bill. So the rest of that just for growth in our K-12 education system and for the teacher pay scale. So when you add those two together, you're pretty close to that increase right there.
So you mentioned teachers. The governor has proposed a 3%, I think it's across the board, pay increase for state employees, which obviously would, and it includes 3% for teachers, right?
That's correct.
Okay, but walk us through this. But it's the local school systems are deeply involved in this teacher pay raise. This is not simply state funding, right?
Well, what we've done is appropriated the funds that would provide for a 3% pay increase, but we basically have not added it to the teacher pay scale. That $300 million in new education funds that reduces the austerity cut would and should be used, we believe, for a pay increase.
Should be, but the schools,
they have the flexibility to do as they see fit. But we very heavily advise them. We think they deserve a 3% pay increase.
So what's your sense of that? I mean, that's always, the critics always say, you're relying on local school systems to now want to take that money and put it in other areas that they think they need to fund.
Well, we get beat up a lot of times because we pass policy, pass law that tinkers with education, and we're told all the time that education is best figured out on the local level. And that's basically what we're doing here is saying, here's that austerity reduction or the replacement of austerity reduction. We think that this is what it needs to be spent on because they've gone for a period of 6 or 7 years without an increase. Many of those teachers have suffered through furlough days and hung in there and done the jobs that of taking care of our kids and teaching our kids. And so you look at it and we're kind of bad if we do and bad if we don't, because we get beat up one side saying, well, you're taking away local control, but then on the other side,
isn't it your job to get beaten up?
It is pretty regularly.
Yeah, I understand. Believe me. Senator, speaking of schools, last year one of the big controversial issues was health care for so-called seasonal employees. The school bus drivers, for example, the governor tried to pull that off the table, say that we can't afford it anymore. Where's that going to go in the next year ahead?
Well, we're gradually increasing the amount that systems have to pay for that insurance. There's no cost increase for the member, for the school bus driver or lunchroom worker, but we've been subsidizing that insurance for those employees for a number of years, and we're still subsidizing, even at the rate that they're going to pay this year. So we've been slowly increasing the amount that local systems need to provide for that insurance.
And in the FY 2017 budget, which is the big budget that you're really working on now, where does that stand?
It's about another $100 of the employer share that will be shifting from the state to the local system. These are local system employees. These are folks that either contract or hired on an hourly basis by that local system. Teachers are one thing because they actually have a contract with the state as a state employee through that local system. But the individuals covered under this plan are purely employees of that local system.
What are some of the other, before we have to take a break, I want to give you a chance, because Chairman Hill already did it. What are some of the other things in the budget that you're really happy you have the money this year for the first time in a while to be able to fund?
Really too many to name, because there's so many things that we've put off and put off and put off that we're finally now being able to catch up on. And education's been one of the things that I've worked on so hard for many years, almost all whole time I've been there in the General Assembly, and knowing that we're getting closer to that magical finish line of fully funding QBE, something that's never been done since it was created in 1985, and knowing that we're getting close and that we're on a trajectory to get there.
How close are you to fully funding?
With the 300,
QBE being quality basic education.
Yes.
Funding formula passed back in the mid-'80s, Joe Frank Harrison's governor, that presumably was designed to make sure that poorer school systems around the state had equalization grants. Okay, go ahead.
Well, and with the $300 million going in, it puts us at about 166 to 167 million from being fully funded there. And as we continue to get there, and our goal is next year, good Lord willing, and the economy stays strong, that we cross that finish line, something that's never been done under Republican or Democratic control, that it's been funded.
Chairman Hill, are you confident that you're going to get moved in that direction?
Well, yeah, our revenues continue to be growing, around 4%, and that's a good enough rate to continue this progress. So I don't, nobody knows the future, and we certainly we're not an island. We're tied to the world economy, but we don't have any of those trouble signs yet that we see in some states.
Got one last question before we take a break. Over the years, the governor's revenue projection has often been a controversial prediction of a growth rate. You both know that. Do you both feel, and were you involved at all in consulting with the governor's people on setting a growth rate of 4+% for this budget? Is it the right projection?
I think so, and Georgia's had a long history under both parties of being very conservative. Mm-hmm. Governors have been very conservative in the revenue estimates, and Governor Deal has continued on that and set us a path to completely strongly replenish our rainy day fund, something that was totally depleted when he became governor. So, yeah, there's so many pieces that go into it, but I think so.
You think it's the right projection?
I do think so, and when you look at the report that came out in the fall from the bond underwriters, all three put out a report on all the 50 states, all of the trouble areas that they wrote states up for, funding deficits out of reserves and oil states and the problems they're having and underfunding pensions. All of the problems they foresaw in other states, Georgia had none of those problems.
Okay, we're going to have to take a break right now. When we come, I want to give you a chance to think about this ahead of time. Given that you have more money this year than you have for a while, there are some people down there under the Gold Dome who think it's time to really look seriously at some tax reductions out there. Let's talk about how you two are feeling about that right now. And so we'll have that and much more about the new budget. We're going to take a quick break, and as we do, it's time for another round of Know Your Lawmaker. Demetrius Douglas is a Democrat representing House District 78. He was first sworn in to the General Assembly in 2013. Douglas was a linebacker at the University of Georgia and briefly played in the NFL with the New York Jets and the Washington Redskins. He also had a brief stint in the Canadian Football League. These days, Douglas says he prefers basketball and golf. He says he enjoys watching the Discovery Channel and learning about different cultures. His biggest bucket list wish? Seeing his grandkids grow up. More Lawmakers.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down.
Wednesday at 7:30 on GPB.
Want to know why? Get the answers you've been seeking on the next Why Wednesday. First, why are these old farms so important to our state? Georgia Outdoors visits 5 farms that have been maintained by the same families for over 100 years. See their secrets to long-term success on Centennial Farms. Next, how do these monkeys survive in the highest forests in the world? Nature uncovers a fascinating society in the Himalayas, the recently discovered mystery monkeys of Shangri-La. Then, what is making all this light in the ocean's darkest depths? Nova and National Geographic team up to explore the various ways these sea creatures light up and how their special abilities may be useful on land. Don't miss Creatures of the Light. Finally, who are the Nubian kings who conquered the dominant ancient Egyptians? History has left many questions about the Kush dynasty, but new evidence is bringing the truth to light. It's all on the PBS special, Rise of the Black Pharaohs. Catch the latest from the worlds of science and nature on this week's Why Wednesday.
Did you know that Georgia is in the top 10 states when it comes to electoral college votes? California has the most at 55, followed by Texas with 38. Florida and New York have 29 each. Illinois and Pennsylvania have 20. Ohio has 18, and then Georgia. With 16 electoral votes, we're tied with Michigan. A candidate needs 270 electoral votes to win the presidency. Which is why, in a presidential election year like this, Georgia has become more important than ever before. So we're talking about the budget tonight with the chairs of the Senate and House Budget Committees, Chairman England and Chairman Hill. Let's ask a question that I gave you a little preview of during the break. You've got some folks down there who think with the money that you've got in the Treasury and the projection of growth, is it time to start looking at a significant tax break of some sort in Georgia? And if not, why not? Senator?
Well, I'm never opposed to tax cuts. I think we need to be looking at them all the time. Georgia has a pretty balanced approach to revenue and through the income tax and through the sales tax as well. I guess my only caution would be to be sure of what the future holds for us as a state. You know, where's the economy headed? But you know, as we move along, I'm not opposed to looking at income tax cuts.
Am I right that one of the keys, and I think you already referred to it, one of the keys this year is you want to really replenish the rainy day fund, and that you feel, you sort of alluded to it too and said, talking about looking forward, that is for you right now a more important goal?
Well, it has to be, because as we went into the recession in 2008, worse into 2009 and 10 and 11, we were sitting at about $1.5 billion in rainy day fund at that point. We're just now getting back to that number. Within a year and a half, 2 years, we basically had to spend that amount of money. If it had, you know, the stimulus money, a lot of debate about whether the stimulus money was spent correctly nationwide and on the nationwide level. Had it not been for the rainy day fund, had it not been for some of the stimulus dollars, quite frankly, Georgia would have suffered even worse than what we did. And so I think looking forward and talking about it and knowing that we need to be at the $2 billion plus roughly. And when you look at $2 billion, you got to think about it in this way too. That's about 10%, a little less than 10% of the state's budget. So you're just talking about operating state government if there is a catastrophic event for just a little over a month.
So if we assume that you are both you're both fiscally conservative and really trying to make sure the budget's in good shape, the rainy day fund is in great shape, are you under a lot of pressure, excuse me, from some members who are really saying, we got to give something back to the people. We got an election coming up in November. We got to run for re-election. Well, you must face a lot of pressure.
It's a constant discussion, and like Jack said, I'm not opposed to it either. It's just that we have to do it in a very balanced way, a very prudent way, that we don't risk the AAA bond rating we enjoy from all three of the rating agencies that other states don't enjoy. We've got to make sure that as we do reductions in certain areas that we make sure we continue to have a very balanced revenue source, revenue stream. So it's pretty tough.
You get a lot of pressure over on your side? You got some pretty conservative members over there, Senator.
Well, that's true. And they, you know, the theory that they operate under and that we all operate under is that economic growth can be enhanced by lower taxes. I would only point out that we don't seem to be having too much difficulty in attracting new industry in Georgia. The governor's done a great job of promoting the state as a great great place to do business. But these things are issues that we ought to look at on an ongoing basis, and I think that we will. And there may be a point at which it looks like that's a good thing for us to do, and maybe we can enhance our tax structure by doing that.
You know, I mentioned the presidential race. We got March 1st coming up. It's going to be a big event here in Georgia. You're going to get back some tax revenue from all the TV stations that are going to make a fortune on presidential advertising, aren't you?
I wonder sometimes how Iowa and New Hampshire budget, because they've got an every 4-year little event.
Yeah, all right.
What we need is a surtax on advertising.
It's a great pleasure to have both of you here.
Thank you
so much. That's it for day 15 of the 2016 session. 25 legislative days to go. We'll be back tomorrow night for day 16. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter at GPB News, or our website, gpb.org/lawmakers. And remember, be sure to tune in for Political Rewind. We're live every Wednesday